Oh, there we are. Yes, thank you and welcome to this meeting of the full council of the District Council. Welcome to our members of the public up the corner. Message to all of you, could you make sure your phones are switched off? And if you need the facilities, they are in the corner there just off the foyer outside. Are there any apologies for absence, please?
Yes, I've received apologies from Councillor Adams, Bayes, Blathwaite, Hankins, Heinrich, Housden, Punchard and Heinink. And Withington, I think.
Thank you. I believe Liz Withington, has she given?
But she hasn't, but we'll have.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minutes of the last meeting. I assume you will have all read the minutes. Do we have any problems with them? Do I need to go through them page by page, or can we have a proposer and a seconder as being? Yes, Councillor.
Sorry, it was a spelling error actually, just in my contribution under the LGR on page 5, and a toe unitary model apparently, which would be a new one. So it's just a spelling mistake there. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Have we got any more problems? If not, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Councillor Shires. Councillor Fredericks. Thank you very much. Items of urgent business?
None received.
None received. Any declarations of interest? No. Then we move on to Chairman's communications. No, we're not sure whether Matthew has, Councillor, has stood in for me on a number of occasions this summer. So I'm not sure who's coming up first on this little list of engagements. So we shall speak when we see them. Oh, there we are.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And there is me looking beautiful in my black tie. Really fantastic event here. The 901 Troop, they are a local Marine cadet troop and based in Winterton and Great Yarmouth. They help us so much in Stalham with all of our community events. They do our marshalling, they'll make sure everyone's okay, do some first aid. Fantastic group of young people. So myself and Zilla, we went along to their annual mess night dinner. The roast beef was paraded around in front of us, which apparently is a Royal Navy tradition. It was a fantastic night and all the cadets were absolutely brilliant, as they always are. Thumbs up. Then on to the High Sheriff of Norfolk's Justice Service. Now, I love a church service, but this was fantastic in the cathedral. To see the cathedral completely full of people, and then to hear some really poignant speeches. We had a circuit court judge there who spoke about some of the issues that we're facing in our justice system at the minute, which I'm sure we all know and read about frequently. Poignant to bring it back. You know, we're there to celebrate, to get together, but there is a really important message behind that service. And to be honest, I think this was probably my favourite event I've done. As you can see, there's Andreas, one of our former colleagues, who was very excited to see me. Actually, run up to me with his camera. But I really do mean it when I say I think this is the best event I've been to. Before going, I knew very little about the YMCA. You know, to me, it was somewhere that housed vulnerable young people. But sitting there and listen to just the sheer amount of work they do in Norfolk is unbelievable. You know, whether that be their nursery, which has got 80 places in Norwich, which obviously supports families on lower incomes. If it's their career progression and their real push towards educating young people and getting them off. One of their students has actually just got a place at York University and she's going there in September. Fantastic. Really brilliant organisation.
So it's me. This is Mayor of King's Lynn Charity Trafalgar Day Supper. The Mark Dimmond, who's the Minster chaplain, wasn't telling me the joke about the vicar there. We were just discussing his eating habits, which I've come to a few times before. Anyway, it was a great night, great supper, done with all the pomp and circumstance we expect from King's Lynn. So that was that one. I went to the Remembrance Day service at Wells, which is quite a formal occasion. Little service outside the memorial hall, and then we paraded down to the quay and up Stave Street and High Street to the church. I'm afraid I dipped out about halfway round. But anyway, that was a nice service, and it stayed dry. It was jolly cold, but a nice day. Before this one, actually, I went to Joyce Trett. I don't know whether any of you remember Joyce Trett. She was chair at this place 2006, 2007. Joyce died after having stage 4 melanoma. She was a real force and was at the heart of most organisation and things in Wales, and she had me dressed up as a pirate doing pantomimes and in tights and all sorts of things. And it's only recently she was still raising money for a needy young man who'd had a stroke at university, which I contributed to. So Joyce will be really badly missed in Wales, that's for sure. And the last thing is the office armistice service here, which was well attended by officers and was a nice tribute. So thank you. I think that's everything. Right. Councillor Penfold.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, Peter, and thank you, Matthew, for that, and that you are fine representatives for us. So thank you for all the work you're doing. It's brilliant.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Leaders' announcements, Councillor Frederick.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. It's lovely to see you. I'm going to keep this short because I know that it's icy out and we all want to get home as safely as possible. We will have an announcement on LGR. I just want to go through a couple of things before we get to that. So firstly, both the leader and I had the pleasure of attending the opening night of the Christmas End of the Pier show on Saturday night. It was really the best show I think they have produced. I encourage you all to go along and see for yourself and hurry, as tickets are going rather quickly. I know this to be true because I have had to look for my mother and it's very difficult to squeeze her in. So budget preparations are underway. We're waiting the local government settlement. Most councils will take budgets to full council mid to late January. We've been asked to support the horse racing industry in our district. We oppose harmonising betting duty with remote gaming duty would harm Fakenham race course. We urge government to focus on high harm online casino games, and there is cross-party to support that. So public consultation on local government reorganisation has been announced by the government this afternoon. Details of the consultation, which runs until January the 11th, can be seen using the link, which will be on our website and communicated on our channels. We will share details and encourage responses from the public, statutory bodies and parish councils. And I'm going to hand over to Mr. Blatch for a little bit more clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So the government has this afternoon launched a statutory consultation on local government reorganisation proposals in the 6 county areas in the devolution priority programme, and that includes Norfolk. Details of the consultation, as the Deputy Leader has said, will run until the 11th of January next year and can be seen at the link Norfolk:local government reorganisation.gov.uk. Whilst the government will formally invite comments on the proposals from statutory consultees as part of the consultation process, local town and parish councils and members of the public can comment on the proposals via the government website. Norfolk District Council, through the Future Norfolk Partnership of 6 district councils, continues to promote proposals for 3 unitary councils in Norfolk in the future, Greater Norwich and East and West Authority, based on the principles of people, place and progress. Details of the future Norfolk 3 unitary council proposals, including the overarching proposal and detailed appendices, and a detailed proposal for each of the 3 proposed unitary council areas can be seen online at www.futurenorfolk.com. As a council, we will be promoting details of the statutory consultation, as the Deputy Leader said, amongst town and parish councils and our residents and businesses through our website and social media channels over the next few weeks, encouraging local people to express their views to government on this once-in-a-generation change in the structure and delivery of local government services in the county. The District Council will also be developing and submitting a formal response to the consultation in the coming days, with any comments to be agreed by the Cabinet at a special meeting on a date to be arranged. Thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Fredericks? No. Right, we may move on then. Are there any public questions and statements?
None received.
No, none received. Right, back to you then, Councillor Fredericks. Appointments, committees, subcommittees, working parties and outside bodies, please.
Thank you. We have a number of appointments. Councillor Jill Boyle is appointed to Cabinet as Housing and People Services Portfolio. And I'd like to hand over the imaginary white hard hat to Jill. We'd like to propose Councillor Mal Gray as Deputy Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which I believe requires full council approval. Kate Leith will be appointed to Overview and Scrutiny to replace Jill Boyle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, congratulations, Jill. Do we need a vote on that?
We do in regards to councillor.
Right, so we need to have a vote on, see whether Councillor Gray is a fit and. No, we won't do that. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Boyle. In that case, can we go to the vote, please? Those 4.
Is that full? Unanimous.
I think that was unanimous unless anybody disagrees with that. Thank you very much. Councillor Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I go, I just like to make this point. It's probably fair to say over the years that Councillor Fredericks and I haven't always seen eye to eye politically, but there's been no doubting at all her passion for the housing portfolio. And on behalf of my group, I'd like to thank you for all the work that you've done for these many years and wish you all the best for the future. And also at the same time, I'd like to wish Councillor Boyle every success in your new role and congratulate you on your elevation to the Cabinet. Beyond that, just about 1 or 2 changes to our substitutes for various committees, but I'll pass those on to Officer Denny. So that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cushing. We haven't got Councillor Punchard to here with us or independent group. No. Right. We move on to the portfolio reports. There is a gentle reminder at the top of your agenda, just above item 10, that this is a 30-minute ask, and we ask a question and we will do it succinctly, please, and the answers will be full and also succinct. So do I have any questions, please? Right. Okay. Well, Councillor Mancini Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is to Portfolio for Climate Change Net Zero Castle Farley. After declaring a climate emergency and pledging to reach net zero by 2030, which incidentally we all knew was just virtual signalling, isn't it about time you came clean with the residents that voted for you? This is really never going to happen. Worse still, you're not even attending anymore.
Thank you so much for your question, Councillor. I think this Lib Dem administration is and has done some fantastic things, and it's quite clear that the previous Conservative administration in North Norfolk was never going to declare a climate emergency, and I can say that with certainty because the Norfolk Conservative Norfolk County Council has still not declared a climate emergency. So I urge you and all of us here tonight to actually get on to those colleagues at County Council and urge them to take the climate emergency serious. But in regards of whether this administration is virtue signalling, Mr. Chairman, all I can phrase it in really is in this succinct manner. So is it virtual signalling to administer millions of pounds worth of Warms Homes monies to residents to ensure that they can have good eco retrofitting measures to ensure that their homes are warm and they save money on their electricity bills? Is it virtue signalling to place solar panels at our leisure centres, ensuring that we can decrease our carbon emissions, showcasing fantastic, stellar technology, decrease our running costs, actually ensuring that these vital centres are kept open for local residents? Also, Mr. Chairman, is it virtue signalling to offer astute eco advice to our businesses to ensure that they are equipped with all the knowledge to decrease their carbon footprint and in turn their running costs, ensuring that they are able to stay afloat? I think, frankly, Mr. Chairman, I have debunked the councillor's remarks there. Thank you.
Sir Boyle?
I'm not sure if you understood my question. My question basically was, do you think you will achieve it by 2030? I haven't finished, by the way. The reason I said I don't believe you're taking it seriously is primarily the biggest problem we have in this council for footprint is our bin services, the amount of carbon emissions that they give out. We're quite happy to give £1 million to Rocket House. We're quite happy to pay endless amounts of millions.
Anthony Boyle, I think we need
No,
to push
I'm nearly there. And why can't we give hydrogenated vegetable oil to our fleet of bin lorries if we can spend all this money on other projects?
Councillor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I've given my answer. If the councillor is not happy with that, then I'm afraid that's on him. But I have given a succinct answer on what this council is doing and the fact that we are taking this very important matter seriously. And like I say, I urge him to ensure that his Conservative colleagues at Norfolk County Council do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor MacDonald, did I see your hand up?
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Councillor Ringer on page 53 of the EP Stats Trends chart. Viral crime appears to have doubled in the last 6 months. Can you explain that, please?
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. I will do my best. So what we've got here actually is included within this is numbers of reports of them, the incidents as well. So it's incidents plus reports. So you may end up with a quite prominent piece of fly tipping that results in multiple reports of that incident. So that would only count as one. And we do see a seasonal uplift. To give you an idea of what environment crime is, so that would be dog fouling, the dog PSPO breaches, abandoned vehicles and waste enforcement. So for example, not just fly tipping, but we do carry out duty of care checks on businesses to make sure they're compliant. Actually, officers have been proactive over the summer in carrying out these duty of care checks, which may contribute as well to some of that. So when you see these crime numbers increasing, it's not always bad news. Actually, it's our officers working really, really hard to make sure that people are complying. So on top of this, of course, there is the backdrop of the changes to recycling centres, which has been brought about by Norfolk County Council, the booking system. And I note that some councils are actually starting to move away from that. Whether that in itself has been a contributing factor, I will leave it open to other people's judgment. I suspect it possibly has. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Chair. A question for Councillor Shires. According to research by Box Power, a not-for-profit energy consultancy, North Norfolk District Council overpaid for electricity by 9p per kilowatt hour compared to the best performing councils. So NNDC was paying 31.5p a kilowatt hour compared to 22.2, which was the best performing council. So my question is, how much could have been saved annually by NNDC had we obtained a better deal? And how soon can contracts be renegotiated? Thank you.
That's an amazing question. And I really, out of everything that we do in Council Holiday, I really appreciate your attention to detail. It's really valuable, and I genuinely mean that. I will get you an answer to that, and I would like to meet with you to discuss that rather than just send you an email. Is that okay?
If you could set that up, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gray, did I see your hand up?
A question for Councillor Ringer. Will you join me in thanking our resilience and civil contingency teams in keeping us thoroughly updated and safe during this time of year with heightened risks, particularly with the additional challenge of climate change, induced weather events and rising sea levels?
Absolutely. Our civil contingencies team do an absolutely wonderful job. And it's not just them, it's other agencies, it's volunteer flood wardens, there's so many other people who contribute towards the safety of our residents. And we all know that North Norfolk is in a vulnerable coastal position. And there are some things that you can readily think, okay, flooding, it's a risk that we're going to encounter. Then there's other things that come out of the blue, like nurdles, which we had earlier in the season, and they really have to adapt to all sorts. So I absolutely would be delighted to join you in thanking them, as I'm sure the rest of the council would like to as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Chair. Can I have ask a question for Councillor Varley? And it's about continuing our own annual emissions reductions to reach net zero by 2030 and the 2030 target, and whether that's the appropriate date. I completely agree with reducing our carbon emissions and pick the low-hanging fruit, LED lights, and some of the emissions you reduce by half, like the travelling, which is great. But to get the final bit out of the way, I'm worried about the cost of this. What is the cost? What return on investment are we looking at for the investment to actually flatten it out to zero? The sooner we do it, are we getting best value? Because these technologies are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So are some things better left a little bit longer to see how the market develops?
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. There's a few elements I want to address there. In regards to the financials, projects and initiatives, they're always factored into budgets. We do obviously care very much about balancing the books. Notably, one project I would love us to really embark upon, which would decrease emissions, by more than half, is looking into HVO. But we need to bear in mind the financial implications of that, but also the sustainability implications. If HVO is made out of palm oil, then it's absolutely inadvisable that we go ahead. So we need to make sure that we look into that. We need to balance the books, like I say. In regards of us sticking to our 2030 target, absolutely, we must decrease carbon wherever we can. We have picked, rightly so, some of those low-hanging fruits. It's always best to do that approach. The longer we stay on our journey, the harder it will get. Absolutely, it's important to showcase that. So we have got to think about some of the projects we now focus on, and that's why we have reviewed our strategies. That's why I'm always discussing with my team, with Cabinet, with external parties to see what we can do. And Councillor, if you have any initiatives councillors around this room, if you have any ideas, don't leave them to yourselves. Do get in touch with me and my team. It's really important, as I say, that climate change and net zero isn't just in the corner with myself and my team. It's reaching across the whole council. We all must take responsibility for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Patrick. Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chairman.
Sorry, behind you, Angie.
Oh, sorry.
I hadn't realised I should change the name, but that's it. Thanks very much. Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Varley, it's another one for you. You're a popular man tonight. I think most of us remember a few years ago the £110,000 trees that were planted by this council aimed at capturing carbon and improving wildlife habitat and biodiversity. Of course, the planning was just the first and probably the easiest step on the journey towards those aims. Young tree survival is, of course, crucial if they're to reach maturity and maximise the potential carbon capture. So, Councillor Varley, can you tell us in round terms how many of those trees have survived? And if not, does the council have the means to track the ongoing tree survival and thus audit the success of the project? And I'll emphasise it's only the ones in North Norfolk I'm asking about.
Thank you for your question. I mean, firstly, the project was hugely successful, and I give all my thanks to my previous counterpart, Councillor Lloyd, for his hard work and the dedication from Officer Stannant as well, who is no longer with the organisation. I do believe I've actually given a verbal response to this question before, but I'm happy to do it again. NNDC did facilitate a very successful tree planting project, and in regards of the next stages, it was always for the private landowners and those community groups to ensure that those trees survived, but we did give them all the astute knowledge and guidance to ensure maximum thriving of those trees. And yeah, I love a good tree, and trees are fantastic for sucking in the carbon, but also for climate adaptation as well. We are having some really hot summers, so they provide perfect shade. Thank you.
So the gist of the question was how many have survived? And if you don't have that number, is there a means to actually identify how many survived?
Like I say, so in regards of the survival and long-term care, that is down to those community groups and the private landowners. So I don't have those figures. I don't think it would be advisable for me to ask the team to retrieve those figures, because I don't think really, due to capacity, that would be a good use of their time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Buttercooper.
Thank you. I think a lot of the trees were given away to individuals, so to track those would be very difficult. My question is actually for Councillor Toy, please. And it's regarding, I see your report that there's an awful lot of activity concentrated in our towns at the moment around the businesses in the towns. And I wonder whether you could comment on what can be done to support businesses in rural areas more as well, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, and thank you for noticing that the work that we're doing in our towns. We've concentrated on our towns, work with our county partners to bring some successful stories there, which we will tell in time. Of course, all of our villages will clutch around individual towns, and hopefully they will all gain benefit from that. But the 80% of North Norfolk is small businesses, 10 or less. And as I've done before in my reports and in various meetings, an important way that we can all help our businesses is to get them to come to the Invest North Norfolk website and sign up to our newsletter, because that way, that's the way we can find them. We don't have the manpower, a bit like finding 110,000 trees. How many small businesses are out there? But that we can contact them through those processes. So I urge everybody to sign up
and to share that with the businesses in their wards that are all tucked away and help us find them. If we can find them and have that contact with them, then we can develop schemes to support people. But thank you for the question.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Do you want me this time? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Councillor Shires, please. A few days ago, I met up with an old friend that I had not seen for some time. He's recently retired as a mechanic for Cromer Lifeboat. He told me that the Cromer Lifeboat crew are no longer issued with parking permits for the prom. Is this council content that they are putting lives at risk by expecting lifeboat crews to park at a considerable distance from their boat, thereby causing several minutes delay to an emergency launch?
Thank you for your question. I don't believe you've been given a full picture of where we are with that at the moment. But I'm happy to meet with whoever it is you've spoken to discuss it with them further. But I don't think you have a full and rounded view of what that is at the moment.
Can you enlarge on that view a little bit, please?
I don't think it's appropriate.
Thank you very much. Councillor. There he is.
I'll answer your question, councillor, as the outgoing portfolio holder. And thank you everyone for your kind words there. So the calculator is live. It's on our website. So you've got the help bar or the search bar on the website. If you put help with money, then it will take you to the financial inclusion team page, and then you can use that calculator. It's actually better than the other calculators that are online because it will give you information about social tariffs on there. So it's a really good tool. And again, you know, we need to be spreading that word into communities, and as active frontline councillors, we should be doing that. So if anybody wants some more information on that, come to me or Jill and we'll demonstrate that for you.
Councillor Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question also is for Councillor Fredericks. In the report, you state that you're going through a process now for re-registration for applicants to go on the housing register. As at the time of writing the report, there were 600 people who had applied to do so out of the, I think it's 2,237 who are on the old list. So do you have an up-to-date figure? And also supplementary to that is what precautions are being taken to ensure that nobody's inadvertently left off the list?
Thank you, councillor Cushing. I don't have an update since the report was written because it's still going ahead. What we're doing is when we haven't heard from somebody, we are trying to proactively trying to get in touch with them and seeing if they still want that space on the housing list. So the officers are actually they really want to make sure that everybody who needs that place on that register, that list, is still active and still looking, because sometimes people just disappear. So we're taking proactive approaches to that. And I think actually that's a really good way of doing it, because then we can see about their circumstances and then refer them into benefits, financial inclusion, and just see if there's anything else that we can help with. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We might have an update in December. I'll ask Councillor Boyle if she can chase it up for you in December.
Thank you. I think it'd be helpful for us all just to see actually what progress is being made on that. So if it's in the next report, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cushing. Councillor Toy, Kim Toy.
Thank you. This is a question for Councillor Fredericks. Just wondering whether the SWEP system has been activated due to the bad weather that we've had recently, and probably it will continue in the future. So is that actually happening at the moment?
Thank you. So the DWP migration, are you thinking about?
No, the SWEP. The SWEP.
Oh, the SWEP, right, okay. So SWEP is an initiative that if the temperature falls below 0 with our rough sleeper cohort, then our teams actively, again, proactively, go out into the community and find those rough sleepers and give them options of how to look after themselves. They also provide hot food, hot drinks, blankets, because some rough sleepers actually prefer to be out there. You know, some people are entrenched. So the officers do their utmost to encourage and also to give those people options. So that's when the temperature goes below 0 degrees. That's when the SWEP initiative kicks in. Cool, you're getting your pound of flesh out of me tonight. Well, last go. Okay, bring it on.
Councillor Vickers.
Thank you, Chairman. It's for Councillor Ringer again. I'd like to thank the Environment team, in particular Officer Andy Smith, who's gone above and beyond for me in Fakenham and for the residents of Fakenham. But my question is, Councillor Ringer, your report states that it's planned to introduce a new domestic food waste collection service in the latter half of 2025. Given that, you know, we're nearly there, 6 weeks to go, have you introduced it, or will you introduce it before the end of the year?
Thank you for your question. That is a typo. It would be the latter half of 2026, of course. Don't worry, we're not going to spring that surprise on you without a lot of forewarning. I'm happy to give you a little bit more information, actually, just as it goes, because the team are working really, really hard towards the implementation of the new domestic food waste collection service. You'll remember back in, I think it was March, when we approved the funds, the additional funds towards the food waste freighters and caddies, and they're all on order and will hopefully be with us towards the middle of the year. And once they are all in and the depot is ready, then we will be ready to roll. We will absolutely certainly have some proactive comms, not just for public, but actually for councillors as well. If you remember when we did the reroute a year or two back, we had a members briefing in this room, and I anticipate that we will do something similar in due course. So don't worry, we're not going to roll it out like now. You'll have plenty of forewarning. That should say 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Ringer. I was a little bit worried, but now I'm happy.
Right, we've got time for a couple of more questions. I think Councillor Dixon had his hand up earlier. No? Oh, Councillor Netherway, was it? Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. This is also a question for Councillor Ringer. On 3 separate occasions in the last 6 or 7 weeks, my home parish of Knapton, and therefore I assume surrounding parishes, have had problems with their waste bin collection. First thing I'd like to say to Councillor Ringer is thank you very much for acting so quickly on each occasion and getting it resolved. I understand the problems with a bin lorry, or the wrong kind of bin lorry. Is the councillor able to update me so that I can update on the people asking me when that may be resolved and normal service can be resumed, please?
Thank you very much for your question. Normal service is underway. You know, we roll out a very large number of. There's probably 14 rounds that are going out each day, including trade, including garden waste, and both waste streams. And we have had 1 or 2 breakdowns, and it may well be that it's just been unlucky that it's been on the day that it's affected Knapton. It's not more widespread than that. The crews work really hard actually to catch up where there are instances like this. It is just the nature of having such a large fleet that occasionally you do get one or two that do suffer from a bit of wear and tear, and the fleet is now 6 or 7 years old. So these things do happen, but they are rectified where they are identified. If there are further issues in Knapton and the surrounding area, then please let me know if there's something else going on. As I say, I'm certainly not aware that it's been disproportionately impacted. It might have just got unlucky on a couple of. I think you've been unlucky on a couple of occasions, but there's certainly not anything more widespread. But I will go back and see. It might just be a bit of bad luck there, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much. Have I missed anybody? No, we have a couple of minutes left, and that's all. If not, I shall go on to item 10 speedily. Thank you very much for your questions and answers. Recommendations from Cabinet, 3rd of November, and I think we're with Councillor Shires.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologies, Council, you only had period 4 monitoring when we last met, so this might feel rather speedy, but it isn't. So I want to begin by thanking Overview and Scrutiny Committee, who met recently and gave me a full discussion on the period 6 monitoring, which I really, really appreciate. And I would like to just compliment Overview and Scrutiny for their dedication and focus. I seem to be dominating all their meetings, and they're allowing me to do with grace and with really quite a lot of input. So I'm very grateful to that. The recommendations are to note the contents of the report, but also to note that the capital budget for Colt Country Park Eco Learning Space will be increased, and that's to take into account the Section 106 contribution of 40,000 to the scheme. And then the third recommendation is to increase the customer service C3 software capital budget by £920, £9,200, sorry, that would have been a rather bargain if it had been 920. So those are the recommendations. I know that it's possibly a little bit premature to set the scene for the budget that's coming in February, but I would just like to make some observations so I can inform full council of the position as we are now. So if full council remembers, last year when we did the outturn report, we had a surplus which we've put into the general reserve, which was for any future unseen budget deficits or surprises by the government. This year we've also got a surplus that we're predicting at period 6. In line with that, we also put our proportion of the Second Homes Council tax in a reserve in case we had any overspends in the housing and temporary accommodation budget line. All those were to prepare us for what we don't know is coming in the next round of budget announcements. So we will get our settlement. We're hoping, fingers crossed. I'm looking at Don, who's equally got his fingers crossed just before Christmas. And I'm hoping that the budget announcement that comes with our settlement, the settlement announcement will be favourable. However, we know that this time last year we had prepared for nothing short of chaotic settlement figures over the months that followed. So we don't know what government are planning right now. We know that we were punished last year for being in a really lovely rural community, which I don't think the government understood, and we've seen the deprivation indices which have been released recently, and we know we do have areas of deprivation in North Norfolk, so I hope that the government are paying attention to that. So we don't know what the settlement is. We've got no indication that we're going to be in a more favourable position than we were last year. So that is a huge unknown. The second unknown is that we don't know what's happening with the business rates yet, and we don't know what's coming down the track there, so that's another uncertainty. And the third one, my heart almost stopped when I felt that we might be rolling out food waste within the next 6 weeks, Councillor Ringer, because we've got a lot of uncertainties with food waste costs and the government package that will come with that. But with that bit in mind, I'd just like to hand over to Councillor Ringer, who will give a little bit more of an update of that. And I just want to really make sure that everybody's fully aware of what's coming when we set the budget.
Thank you, Councillor Shires. I think we just have to look back a little bit, actually, back to March again, to the meeting where we allocated funds towards our freighters and caddies and things, and recognised that at that point government had underfunded or undervalued and underfunded the cost of those vehicles, the cost of those caddies, probably by about a third. Now, we are expecting we will get some further new burdens funding, which is for the actual operation of the service. I think we need to be realistic that there's every chance that they may devalue that once more. So we've just got to be mindful of that. It may well be that that is part of the settlement that is announced in December. It may come separately. But I think that we have to anticipate government probably undervaluing it again.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shires, Councillor Ringer. We need to go to the vote for item 1, which is the recommendation on under that agenda item. We don't need a proposer and seconder, so we can go straight to the vote. For those four, what do you like to raise?
Are we actually allowed to ask any questions? You normally are.
Yeah. If you wish to ask a question. Councillor Quick.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Shires. As you explained at the start of that, we did give us a thorough going through at overview and scrutiny last week. But just following up on the comments you made about the fair funding review, it was reported in the press earlier this week that Councillor Mason-Billig, leader of the County Council, raised her concerns that the government will, as part of that process, take money away from rural councils and give them towards metropolitan ones. So that is a risk for us. You mentioned, so my question is, do you have a figure in terms of the settlement that you are hoping to get? And if that figure doesn't come through, what figure, if it's anything less than that, what sort of plans for contingency do you have to make up the shortfall?
Thank you. It is a real concern, I think, across Norfolk, that the government's perception of Norfolk is slightly different to the actual truth. So I think if I was going to put a figure on it, I think it would be to meet the ambition of the council. We've talked a lot about net zero today. We've talked about food waste. So I think it would be wrong of me to cap that ambition by putting a figure on it. I genuinely mean that. I've got colleagues sat along the bench who are looking forward to the budget setting process because they've all got things that they would like to achieve. So it would be improper of me to put a figure on that right now. I think it would be a disservice to everybody. Obviously, we would want a better settlement than we got last year. But fingers crossed, the government have heard district councils, specifically in shire areas, they've heard us. I hope they've heard us anyway. So the contingency side of it is the bit that none of us are really comfortable with. I think we sat and made some really difficult decisions last financial year and this financial year to make sure we balance the books. So we've got a number of things that we can do. You'll note that when we did the outturn report last year, we had been able to be really prudent in year. So some of our reserves weren't used that we'd intended to use when we set the budget for 24-25. Yes. So we will have to look at that. And I know that none of us are comfortable doing that. We will have to look at potential savings. So officers are working hard on that already. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I won't have to bring you uncomfortable decisions. I don't like doing it. This isn't why any of us got elected. Nobody got elected to remove things. So that's also a possibility. But the outturn report last year, we were able to put some money to one side. I'm hoping that by the end of this financial year, we'll have some money to put to one side. And obviously we've done what we've done with the second homes council tax. So I'm hoping that we will have softened that. But my biggest concern, aside from the fair funding and aside from the business rates, is we don't know how much the government believe delivering food waste collections costs. And that is a very big unknown for us right now. And that could be something that will put us all in quite a tricky position on some of the decisions that we've got to make. So, you know, you're very aware, and I really do thank you for your support and colleagues on Overview and Scrutiny Committee who've joined me on that journey over the last 2 years. And as always, I'm completely open and transparent and willing to work with everybody. So let's hope we get a really good news story before Christmas, that we get to enjoy Christmas with our families and we're not worrying about the future of providing services for our residents.
Discussion. Are there any more questions? And we will go to the vote. And as I say, it's item 10. Number 1, we're voting on those 4. Anybody against? Oh, was that a mistake, Don? Any abstentions? No. Councillor Fitchburn. Have we missed anybody? We just those against again, and 1 abstention.
It's carried.
It's carried. That's the main thing. And now we go to Councillor Varley, who will deal with item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try and keep this succinct. This council has revised the environmental charter, the decarbonisation strategy, and has a draft decarbonisation action plan to support the strategy until March 2027. The revision process has been a timely one. As mentioned previously, we have progressed far on our journey to net zero, but there is still a lot of work to do and many challenges are ahead of us. We now must contend with the obverse challenge and related implications of LGR. These documents reflect that. Our destination does remain the same. We still have the internal target of 2030 and wider district emissions of 2045. There has been a lot of work which has got us to this stage this evening. The decarbonisation strategy and action plan have been compiled after a number of workshops with members and teams across the council. And I just want to give my thanks once again to everyone who has been involved in that process. Mr. Chairman, I also wish to give my thanks to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. These documents went before them last week. I think they asked some rather prudent questions and gave some interesting commentary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Varley. Have there any questions? Councillor.
Thank you very much, Chair. I asked at scrutiny about the carbon footprint of tourism, and you very kindly let me know that it's probably captured in the under transport and commercial, which is great. Thank you for that. But can I just clarify that the transport component includes private travel, i.e. the travel to Norfolk and the travel within Norfolk of the visitors, of the 9 million visitors that we have a year? Thank you.
My understanding is yes, but I think it's probably best that I give you a written response just to clarify that. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Councillor Toy, John Toy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to just to say something really, and I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. We take this into account in all things, but what's the cost if we don't? That's the only, I just wanted to say that. What's the cost if we don't all take part and we all do our bit? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toy. Councillor Varley.
I think that's a really prudent comment, and I think I've been on the record many times for saying, but because local government structures are changing, that does not change the fact that this district, Norfolk, is on the front of climate change and related implications. We need to tackle this for our communities. It's really important that we all do our bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Varley. We'll go to the vote now. Those for this recommendation, raise your hand. And those against? And those abstaining, please. So the 22 for 7 abstentions. Thank you very much. That is carried. We will move on to item 11, recommendations from overview and scrutiny. Councillor Holliday.
Thank you very much, Chair. So in October, the recommendations were pertaining to the annual report from Overview and Scrutiny Committee that you'll find as agenda item 11 on page 183, with these following recommendations concerning the apologies given without the subsequent substitutes, and the needs for training, and the need to monitor the work programme and to avoid slippage in key areas such as the police and crime plan. I'd just like to add to that. First of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Dixon hugely for his sterling work underpinning this report, given that he was the chairman during the time and he led a very successful scrutiny committee, and I want to thank him for that. As far as the training needs, I think that needs a little bit of fleshing out. There was quite a turnover of scrutiny officers during that 2-year period. I think there might have been 5, and wondered if that had some slight bearing on the need for training. Just wanted to point that out. I think the work programme is self-explanatory. There was one other point I wanted to highlight, which I have raised already, was that the number of recommendations you'll see on page 193 that were accepted, and we don't have this quantified, and this is due to a capacity issue at the time of writing the report, but it would be very interesting and would corroborate the value of the committee if we actually had it quantified. So we're going to be asking for that, if that's all right. So we actually see how many went through unchallenged. And with that, that is the all I wanted to say about the scrutiny report.
Thank you, Councillor Holliday. Councillor Buttercover.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about something in your report, or comment here. I think it was a real shame, and it's a point really for democratic services, that as the council's representative on the police and crime panel, I wasn't aware that the commissioner was coming. So, because I would have liked to have attended and been able to help the committee with that. And the other thing is just to ask, if I may indulge just a moment, that note I sent round to everyone in council yesterday, if anyone would like or can push forward people to step forward as visitors for the PIC, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buttercover. Any more questions? Well, it's we note and receive these recommendations, but we do need a proposer, a seconder, and a vote. So can I have one of each of those, please? Councillor Cushing will propose. Councillor Toy John will second. All those in favour, please. That looks as though it's unanimous. Thank you very much. We go on to item 12, which is recommendations from the Licensing Regulatory Committee that was held on the 22nd of October. Councillor Took was chair for that meeting. I will ask Councillor Ringer to introduce this item, please.
Thank you. Yes, more than happy to introduce. This is the recommendation of the Licensing Committee from the 22nd of October. I would like to thank, if I may, our officers for producing this report, but also to councillors and town and parish councils and members of the public who contributed towards the formation of this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Birch.
Yeah, I would just like to emphasise that street trading is really, really important nowadays. It's one of the big growth areas of retail. When retail is struggling, high street retail is struggling. Street trading is a growth area. It's grown phenomenally over the last 20 years. So it's very important that we get our policy right, and it can assist our economic growth, and it's very, very important to tourism. So I think this policy has been well thought through, and I would commend it.
Are you seconding, councillor?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have I any other questions? We will go to the vote then with councillor Ringer proposing and councillor Birch seconding. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. I'd just like to say, and I've said it to the licensing team, they've done huge amounts of work. They started off earlier last year with a number of people missing from their team, and the work that they've managed to get through this year is remarkable. Thank you very much. Questions from members? I don't believe we have any. No opposition business. No notices of motion. No reason to exclude press and public, and no private business. That concludes the meeting. Our next meeting will be on the 17th of December. Please have a safe journey home.